another stream. It is 9:15 a.m. Central Standard Time, December 23rd. Hopefully, all of you got some well-needed rest. Market cap for crypto sitting at $810 billion. Bitcoin dominance dropped just slightly to 39.9%. ETH dominance sitting at 18.4%. Can see Bitcoin is more or less where it was yesterday, sitting at $16,820. ETH sitting at 1218. BNB at 244. Dogecoin 7 cents. Cardano just back above a quarter. Matic getting close to 80 cents. Chainlink just a tad shy of $6. Cosmos nearing $9. Are we potentially seeing some sort of mini Santa rally? I'm sure a lot of you are hoping that's the case. Not to be too bearer of bad news, but I do think we're going to go lower here in the next few days for crypto and stonks. Again, have this right shoulder potentially forming right here, and again, bears can drive price action down considerably from this right shoulder, so we need to pay attention to that. Again, not get ahead of ourselves and go too long. It does seem like we are potentially forming some sort of like maybe symmetrical triangle of some sorts. Be careful. Again, trading into this is not as far from ideal. So be careful, my friends. Looking at the hourly chart. Pardon me. Bitcoin did drop again. We did see some volatility here in the past 24 hours since last stream. We dipped as low as $16,550, and we need to break above 16,900, roughly speaking, and past 17K if we want to see if we want to see some more upside out of Bitcoin. Pardon me. Right now, we're kind of potentially forming some sort of what is this called? A rising, or sorry, an ascending triangle. But bulls need to show up big time, because if they don't, bears have the likelihood of bringing price action back down to 16,400, 16,200, and $16,000 Bitcoin. Again, things aren't looking too great for the bulls here on the daily chart either. I mean, look at these candles. Almost got like a spinning top right here for the candle that we formed yesterday on the daily chart. DXY again facing some sort of resistance here. Can't really decide right now. It's just been wavering up and down between roughly 103.5 and roughly like 106. So again, we need to see, if we want to see stonks and crypto rally, we need to see this tank to the downside. If we want to see cheaper price out of stonks and crypto, we need this to rip to the upside. And I think we're getting near that point, but that's just my opinion. Head over to Twitter for some news. The supreme art of a war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. Hashtag Bitcoin. User sent $200 million for a $2 fee on the Bitcoin Lightning Network. Again, just showing you how cheap it is to send money with the Bitcoin network. Fold app says congrats to the newest whole coiner, only with Fold app. Someone just won 1 Bitcoin on a $3.55 purchase. Over at Dunkin' Donuts, they swipe their Fold card at Dunkin' Donuts and leave with coffee and 100 million sats. Not a bad Thursday. You, I don't know what QT is, but you retweet, pick one to win $100 of Bitcoins, no purchase necessary. Imagine just going to buy a coffee and you walk out with a whole Bitcoin. I would be so freaking ecstatic. Like I can't even fathom that. World Chess Champion says government officials are always negative about Bitcoin because they know it's taking away their power, and that's true. They're afraid that the average man or woman like you and me, more or less take ownership back over the currency somewhat, because for hundreds if not thousands of years, governments have completely had total control over the monetary supply and such, and as a result, all currencies unfortunately have a tendency to inflate, and it's just kind of a cycle that we find ourselves repeating time and time after again, generation after generation. And so those who control the money supply can control, the monetary value that's, that particular currency has. Billionaire Bill Miller says there's no sound argument against putting at least 1% of your net worth into Bitcoin, at least. Again, we talked about how this billionaire has hopped on board with the Bitcoin bandwagon. It's very, very cool to see him endorsing it. Still bullish on Bitcoin even at today's prices. He says people have fled the space, so the fact that it's still hanging there at 17,000 is pretty remarkable. Heartedly agree. We went from all the way near 70K all the way down to as low as 15K, and there's still a lot of buyers, still a lot of holders for Bitcoin. We're Us Bitcoiners are rather resilient. We don't give up easily. If we did, we would not be Bitcoin holders. We'd probably be I don't know, sheep holders or something. I don't know. I just pulled that out of nowhere. No offense to any of you if you hold sheep. Justin, Twitter now displays the Bitcoin chart directly in app. Very, very cool. Could we potentially see Bitcoin payments coming to the Twitter app, or Dogecoin payments? Would be very, very cool. Very, very bullish for Bitcoin and crypto by and large. But again, time will tell if maybe this is leading slash hinting towards something that's coming down the pipeline. Over in Argentina, Buenos Aires to levy a 4% tax on Bitcoin mining next year. Um, while I do like the idea of Bitcoin mining occurring in Buenos Aires, should they be levied that 4% tax? It's not my place to say, but I personally think that's kind of BS, kind of bogus. I'm sure we have some sort of tax on that here in the United States, but I'm not going to speak on that issue because I'm not 100% sure. Heidi at Blockchain Chick says me waiting for 10K Bitcoin. Yeah, that's definitely me too. Like I'm like kind of impatiently waiting. I'm like any day now, but part of me is also like, I don't mind buying at these prices, but basically stacking cash on the side, waiting for lower prices. Hopefully we get there at some point here in the next year. Again, I'm trying to just grow my cash position so when we do go lower, I can take it and buy the dip, so to speak. This pretty big dip though from the all-time high. Dylan Leclerc says right on target. Dishonest money begets dishonest statistics, dishonest accounting, dishonest balance sheets, dishonest means, dishonest objectives, dishonest compensation policies, and dishonest relationships. That it begets ambiguousness and corruption in every aspect of life. And that's the thing. Monetary system has always been very, very dishonest and has only benefited, the wealthy by and large. Has not benefited the common man like you and me, and that's why Bitcoin and crypto is so important. By and large, mainly Bitcoin. Like 90% of the picture is Bitcoin, but uh, you can't sleep on some of these other protocols. What they're doing is rather amazing. Okay, there we go. Sorry, I had to do hotspot on my phone. Do Kwon still on the run from prosecutors. FTX paid for Blockfolio acquisition using FTT tokens for 94% of the $84 million price, according to Bloomberg. Wrecked. I would absolutely hate to be paid an FTT for anything, pretty much, and then just to watch it go pretty much zero after the whole debacle with FTX. Pretty horrid scenario. Better call Saul, nah. Better call Caroline Ellison's lawyer. $250,000 bail and dismissal of all her charges minus any tax violations. Wild. So this is going off CoinDesk's tweet saying a plea agreement between Caroline Capital and SDNY Southern District of New York News has been unsealed. The report reveals that, yeah, she's going to be let out with $250,000 bail, dismissal of all her charges. Imagine stealing billions of dollars from hardworking people, and then you just get a slap on the wrist with $250,000 bail, and then again, no tax violation charges or any of that. I don't get how these people get away with it. Just astounds me. SBF just posted $250 million bail, but I thought he only had $100,000 in his bank account. Well, we all know what whose funds those are. Those are customer funds bailing him out. Shame on the parents of SBF for letting him get away with this, and honestly kind of supporting his decision, and basically being like, "Oh, you didn't do anything wrong, Mr. Little Sammy. Like, don't worry about it. We'll bail you out." When you got the right connects, it goes to show that you can do some pretty effed up shit and get away with it. SEC Chair Gensler says crypto crackdown is just getting started. Bank of England talking about regulation two, saying cryptocurrency market is too dangerous to be left unregulated, according to Bloomberg. Now we're gonna circle to the lawmakers here in the United States unveiling a $1.6.5 trillion spending bill for 2023 with $44.9 billion in aid going to Ukraine. Zelensky has interesting called this an investment. Spoiler alert, the rate of return will be like that in Iraq and Afghanistan, massively negative. Yeah, that's totally F that this is going through. It's a week before Christmas, and Congress is considering yet another $1.7 trillion spending package that we haven't even had a chance to see or even read, let alone debate. As we discussed yesterday, the whole spending package is covers roughly, I think, 40, almost somewhere between 4,100 and 4,200 pages, I believe, if I'm not wrong. It's exactly 4,155 pages long. Now, you try and read that in like a day's time when you're, expected to be and serving in Congress and stuff. Like, there's no way these people are able to read the bills, so they just sign on with it because there's something in there that they're going to benefit from, whether it's the aid in Ukraine, they're going to get some of that money back one way or another. Who knows? It's again totally effed. American taxpayer just taking it up the butt. Nope, no. There's nothing we can do about it. These assholes from both parties are going to vote the way they're going to vote, and both parties continue to damage and screw this country. Wow, everyone is really angry about Ukraine. It's not even close. Maybe I'm in an echo chamber, but it really seems like most people are fed up with it. And it's true. I mean, I hear people from even Ukraine that I know in my personal life that are kind of like, I feel immensely for, people in Ukraine that are going through this war. They find themselves, choosing between, um, Zelensky or Putin. It's a really shitty scenario, but even the people I know in my life, they're Ukrainian, kind of like, I'm kind of over this. Like, this needs to end. Zelensky's nothing but a NATO puppet, and it's like it's interesting hearing them say this because these people are not by any means pro-Russian. They do not side with Russia. whatsoever. But it's interesting to see them even call out the scenario what it is. Um, like, Zelensky being called a war hero is ridiculous, ludicrous. Anyways, the Republican base is upset at the omnibus spending bill. The politicians are mostly clowns, but the base is upset. Does the Democrat base care at all, or are they so severely brainwashed that they don't care about bipartisan corruption anymore? Yeah. Left is completely silent when it comes to the spending bill. And again, it highlights how the two party duopoly has hijacked in any form of representative government that no longer exists. And when everyone thinks you hate each other, we are literally making millions while watching a nation starve. Again, like we've discussed many times on this channel. On the TV screen, they're yelling at each other, but behind closed doors, they're making deals, they're shaking hands. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. Honestly, I'm not sure where I fit in right now. Who's with me? I wholeheartedly agree. I haven't been either one of these things. I think in a very long time. I've been a third party for the most part. I consider myself somewhat of a libertarian, but I do see the need for some government assistance, some government agencies and such, but let's basically keep it to a minimum. That's the thing where certain libertarians kind of drop the ball. Is they're like, "Oh, we don't need a government for anything," and it's like, hate to say it, but we kind of need some form of government. Maybe not as big as the one we have right now, but one with limited power. Here we have Ben Shapiro chiming in about Zelensky, saying Zelensky is not wrong to seek more American aid. It's in the interest of his country. United States no wrong is not wrong to provide aid. Defeating Russia's invasion is in the interest of our country, but this does not mean that the Ukrainian and U.S. goals here are identical. Anomaly comments. It says, "Did you take a break from trying to bully black people into getting the mRNA vaccine?" That's something this gentleman here right here did not too long ago, like about a year or two ago, to 2 years later, admit you were wrong and probably wouldn't even take it yourself with your new understanding. You're such a con artist, and everyone is catching on. Yeah, Ben Shapiro is very much a grifter in the political space, so I don't take everything he says I don't really listen to much what this man says because he's a grifter. He's there to create opposition, create division where there is none. Between calling out Kanye for his comments and how he thinks Kanye should be, censored and such for making such wild accusations and wild comments. Again, that's the thing about free speech. It's there to protect speech you don't agree with, Mr. Shapiro, and you clearly don't recognize that. Glenn Greenwald says, "In Americans love to tell the joke about how everyone was afraid to be the first person to stop applauding after a Stalin speech, and yet the pro-war elements of both the Democrat and the GOP parties love to monitor, investigate, applause, enthusiasm for any signs of disloyalty. Rather creepy. Here we have National Review uh, putting out an article saying unenthused Rand Paul lifelessly applauds Netanyahu's speech. And then here we have a tweet just 2 days ago. For any members of Congress who refuse to clap for Zelensky, we need to know from them exactly why. Like, what is this, you guys? Like, uh, I guess, maybe down the road, instead of having 80% of people on board, whether it's in the House of Representatives or Congress, supporting bills like the spending package, $1.7 trillion spending package. Maybe they're going to only allow, candidates who support that nonsense. I mean, that's whatever. I'm not. I'm kind of getting off topic, but yeah, pretty weird how how they're monitoring how certain senators or certain representatives didn't clap so adamantly, like other people like Chuck Schumer, Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi, etc. Kamala Harris. Government 7.1 inflation, they don't want to hear it. National debt, they don't want to hear it. But when it comes to the $1.7 trillion government funding bill that's being paid with your taxpayer dollars, they're like, all right, let's do this thing. The reality is the $1.7 trillion spending package is about to be printed out of thin air, and there are people who still think the Fed. My goodness, sorry. There are people who still think the Fed raising interest rates is going to slow inflation. Guess what? It's not. You haven't seen anything yet in regards to inflation. Money printer is going to go burr at some point, you guys. That's why it's important for us to hedge our bet against the dollar via Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Black and the Empire says 300 days and $100 billion later, NATO still hasn't defeated Russia. How does that work? Kremlin kind of upset about the Zelensky Washington performance, saying there's no chance of peace with Kiev after Zelensky's Washington performance. Russian ambassador to the U.S., the hazard of a clash between Russia and the U.S. is high. Russian ambassador to the U.S., it's hard to say when Russia and the U.S. will be able to resume dialogue on strategic stability. On Monday or Tuesday, Putin will sign a decree in response to the Western price cap on Russian oil exports. Russia's Deputy Prime Minister Novak says Turkey will likely become the new gas center by 2023. What's going on? Here's Turkey looking to side with Russia, Iran, China, and such. Is that why they may be a new gas center in 2023? Or are they potentially hinting at the fact that maybe Turkeys will be willing to sell some of their oil to the West? We'll see. Only one side is trying to silence me, and it ain't Russia. So, kind of background behind this is Bowtied Ranger essentially had his account suspended for, I think it was like 12 to 24 hours, along with a bunch of other people who were critiquing the whole debacle in Ukraine and the spending bill, how Zelensky had the Ukrainian flag behind him being held up by not Paul Pelosi, Nancy Pelosi and Kamala Harris. And he actually gave a kiss to Nancy Pelosi. People were just calling out the spending bill for what it was. It's a total waste of taxpayer dollars. You and I benefit very, very little from any of the money being spent, but we're being forced to pay it nonetheless via taxation and such. So people like him got suppressed, got censored for a whole day or so, but they just got their accounts restored. Again, that's kind of why he's saying only one side is trying to silence me, and in Russia. So kind of interesting discussion there going on. Russia's Deputy Prime Minister Novak saying due to the oil price cap, gas flows from the EU may be diverted to Asia. Russia expected to make foreign currency purchases in Chinese yuan in 2023, according to two sources. Again, their alliances are becoming stronger with one another, the BRICS nations, to be exact. According to estimates from the government's main health authority, approximately 37 million people in China may have contracted COVID-19 on a single day this week, making the country's outbreak by far the greatest in the world. Again, is this to scare everyone, or is this just the reality that because of the constant medical procedures being forced on Chinese citizens over in China, they have no sense of herd immunity, more or less, and that's why we're having a crazy amount of people catching COVID at the same time. Again, the lockdowns didn't help necessarily. Here we have Canada's Chief Public Health Officer, Holidays Cringe.
Thankfully, Santa and I are feeling as healthy as ever. We are both up to date with our vaccinations, including COVID boosters and flu shots.
That's so good to hear.
I always tell Santa to make a list and check it twice. 1, stay up to date on your vaccinations. 2, Wear a mask in crowded indoor places and make sure it fits nice and snug. 3, wash your hands to the tune of jingle bells, jingle all the way.
Great advice. Great voice, too.
Yeah, and this is what they're showing to Canadians across the country. It's rather disgusting. Again, it's total cringe. Like we've learned. I'm sorry to say this, but medical procedures aren't as effective as they were once claimed to be. There's a lot of side effects and such, but just to I have to say this. um, you know, that shouldn't stop you from getting the jab or medical procedure because they're entirely effective at preventing the spread. Have to put that there. My video is going to be taken down. Uh, Joe Biden saying we've delivered free masks, free tests, and free jabs. On my watch, Americans aren't facing COVID alone. Sticks and Hammer 666 says COVID is a joke, masks are a joke, tests are a joke. The jabs are irrelevant. Stop being afraid all the time and go about your business, everyone. Yeah, exactly. It's all fear propaganda. Here we have actor Sean Penn, being an NPC that he is, saying it's time to send people who refuse to take the medical procedure, those type of citizens, to jail. Again, he's a big pharma spokesperson. He doesn't have anything between his two ears. Pardon me. He has shit right there where a brain should belong, and that's why he's going along right with the propaganda, with what the establishment wants him to say. Breaking: Moderna is no longer available in Australia for everyone over 5 years of age. Why? It's not because of it's out of stock. It's not because of release of bivalent, as that it is only recommended as a booster. Is it because of a new study showing greater risk of myocarditis after receiving particular medical procedure when it comes pertaining to COVID? That's probably why. But mainstream media, lockdowns harm children, the poor, and the middle class. This tweet was censored by Twitter for almost 2 years, but can now be viewed again over. I don't know if it's Bologna, Italy, or Bologna. The conscience of a country's population stands against their politicians. Speaks through this woman who says her life has been destroyed by lockdowns, nothing to eat or feed her 3-year-old child. And this is one of tens, if not hundreds of millions of people who were ostracized, who were put in really really shitty situations because of the lockdowns, the mandates, and such. Many people lost their jobs for not wanting to take a particular medical procedure. That's just the tyranny, more or less, that has occurred over the past few years. Now, some people are starting to be held accountable, or at least they're being questioned, which is a good, uh, you know, tide of events. The tide's turning, more or less. But we need to make sure that we press forward and we don't lose steam, and we hold these people accountable for the horrible things they've done to us on such a massive scale. Here we have vaccine passports and vaccine mandates are publicly sanctioned irrational discrimination and a blot on the moral standing of the science trademark and its practitioners. And it's true. It's very discriminate. It's very discriminatory by nature. It's honestly implementing segregational policies. Oh, you didn't take a medical procedure. Oh, well, you can't go to this concert. You can't go to this bar. You can't go to this restaurant. You can't go to the library. Like, it's creating a whole lower class of society. It's honestly kind of like bringing back Jim Crow laws and stuff like that. I hate to like compare it to that because it's not exactly the same, but it's getting to that level and some big cities, and these big cities are going to continue with the lockdowns and such. Over in New York City, Mayor Adams is telling everyone to mask again, to avoid big social gatherings and such because you may kill grandma. It's ridiculous. Mom, what is a contradiction? Believing that 18-year-olds couldn't understand their student loans, but 7-year-olds can choose their gender. Yeah, well said. Gays against groomers. Elon Musk saying hard landing coming. Why would anyone have stocks? Is that why you were selling a crap ton of your shares? Uh, Maybe. Probably also covering for his large acquisition of Twitter and such. Just in, Elon Musk says he will not sell any Tesla shares until 2025. Kind of a little late to say that, buddy, when you've dumped your shares on the market. But, anyways, greatest cash outflow since February 22nd. $41.9 billion from stocks, $10 billion from bonds, and um, a tenth of $1 billion into gold in the week to Wednesday. So I guess yes, or just that's pretty crazy. Just let that sink in. 41.9 billion, 10 billion. We're talking like literally what is this? 52 billion dollars, you guys, outflowing. Crazy stuff. And people still think, "Oh, stocks go up forever." No, we're still in a bull market. Here again, showing you the fear propaganda they're trying to feed you. Look, 2017 versus 2022. Some of these temperatures are pretty much all these temperatures are lower than, on the bottom are lower than on the top, but they have it scorching red. And again, if they're scaring you with colors, or at least they're trying to, and it's working for some people, unfortunately. Correct. What do we expect what will happen when people like this are driving our public health agenda, World Economic Forum, depopulation agenda? All problems would go away if population went back to where it was 500 years ago. For reference, 500 years ago, total population on Earth was roughly 460 million. Real problem is low birth rates and population collapse coming. Again, they're telling you exactly what they're trying to do. They're telling you what needs to happen. But a lot of people are like, "Oh, but that's just a conspiracy." I'll leave you guys with this clip. This is pretty interesting. This gentleman kind of reminds me of a particular mustache figure from the 1930s and 40s, but that's just my opinion and what he's saying. Again, they're telling you exactly what they're going to do, and then they deny, "Oh, I didn't say that. I said this."
Bewältigung des Klimawandels seien Maßnahmen nötig, so, und dann jetzt wörtlich, die analog zu den Einschränkungen der persönlichen Freiheit in der Pandemiebekämpfung seien. Wie haben Sie das denn gemeint?
Also ich kann ja jetzt beispielsweise weniger reisen, weil also die Reisebegrenzungen notwendig sind, damit wir nicht das Virus von einer Region, wo hohe Prävalenz ist, in eine andere Region übertragen. Ich muss auf viele Dinge verzichten, die ich gerne machen würde, weil es schädlich wäre für die öffentliche Gesundheit. Ich glaube, dass wir bestimmte Beschränkungen akzeptieren müssen, wollen wir den Klimawandel beherrschen. Dazu wird zum Beispiel gehören, dass wir nicht also so viel reisen, wie jeder reisen könnte. Ich würde übrigens auch noch nicht mal für ausgeschlossen halten, dass wir in der Klimakrise in eine Situation kommen, wo wir das ein oder andere tatsächlich sogar verbieten müssen.
Aber das ist doch genau das, was manche Kritiker jetzt befürchten, dass die Einschränkungen, die in der Corona-Pandemie benutzt werden als Blaupause für sowas, ich sage es in Anführungszeichen, wie eine Klimadiktatur.
Ja, aber das sind doch Verschwörungstheorien.
Wieso? Sie haben doch gerade erzählt, dass die Corona-Maßnahmen Vorbild sein sollen und müssen für die noch viel größere Klimakatastrophe.
Yeah, see, that's what's crazy is they literally tell you what they're going to do, and then when you call them out, they're like, "Oh, you're just a conspiracy theorist. We didn't say that." Like, how stupid do they think we are? Anyways, guys, I've been rambling enough today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's stream. If you did, please like and subscribe, hit the notification bell to be notified when we go live next. I may do a stream this upcoming week. I will be out of town, but I will try and make at least a 15 to 20-minute stream for you guys happen at least 2 of those 3 days. It might just be Monday and Tuesday. I may have to skip Wednesday because I will be driving back from vacation and such. And I need to focus on that. So hopefully you guys have a great Christmas if you celebrate that. Hopefully you guys have great Hanukkah and such, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. Until next time, guys, take care and invest wisely.